Are we ready? We ready? Good morning. Our welcoming music this morning is in the Gray Hymnal, number 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Please, as you are able or in spirit, rise and sing with us. Welcome. Welcome to this morning's service at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, Florida. My name is Ted, and I am the worship associate this morning. This service is broadcast live on YouTube and is recorded for later viewing, either live or hours, days, and even weeks later. We wish to express our gratitude to all those who are making this service possible. Today's speaker, Dr. Martha Beretta, our technology team, Tom and Doug, the welcoming greeters at the door, decorators, housekeepers, groundskeepers, potluck donors, and every Sunday donors, coffee and snack service, our choir director and choir, our fellowship members, friends, and supporters. It is our practice to use first names only to protect everyone's privacy. Whatever your faith, whatever country of origin or heritage, whoever you are, whomever you love, you are welcome here. We are glad you chose this congregation as your place of worship today. We open our hearts to accept all people of whatever diversity. For those hurting, we try to comfort your pain. Why do people come to our fellowship? Some out of curiosity. Others seek something they can believe in, reasonable and true. Some hope to make new friends, find companions, join a warm and meaningful community, or to support active programs of social justice, including ethnic, LGBTQ, immigrant, racial, and more. We believe in the religion of love and inclusion. When we stand together, help one another, be kind to all, we make the world a better place. We work to be people of good character and urge others to do likewise. It is good that we gather here today. If you are new here and would like to learn more about our fellowship, you can speak with our greeters, email Anna, our office administrator, at the office uufcc.org, or to visit our website uufcc.org. Is there anyone new here today? Please rise. A microphone will come up. Yes, here too. Wait for the microphone.
So I'd like to introduce our house guest. This is Marilyn Tinbrook. She is a very dear friend of ours who lives very close to our home in Michigan. And she's 98 years old. She lives in a 3-story house, and she mows her own lawn.
Okay, the Yurong is my neighbor where we live.
I'm Scarlett. Just years September, I went to Canada, visit my son, family. Now I'm back because I love Herr. I love you are. This is my girlfriend in Canada. My son neighbor coming here, visit me. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm English too small, no good. Happy look US people. My friend, I'm Canada go. Coming.
Do you know speak English? No speak English.
I'm happy people. Happy. I'm 70 year.
Okay. Welcome.
Anybody else?
Back from a long absence. I don't see anyone, so that's it, I guess. Thank you. The prelude will be dedicated to Martin Luther King. Thank you, Margaret and the choir. We will now have the chalice lighting. As Marilyn comes forward to accomplish this, those at home may light their own candle or chalice. Please repeat with me the words of our affirmation as it is listed in the order of service. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our aspiration, to dwell together in peace, and to seek truth in love, and to help one another. At this time, now we will have the story for all ages. All those who wish may come up front, sit down, and listen to the story. Here we go. You want to be up here?
She needs a drink.
Oh, I'll get you. Joseph, will you bring some water up here for a drink?
Okay. All right, I'm doing the story of for all ages. I see we have all ages here. And I'm reading from a book called The Seeing Eye Child, Overcoming and Becoming by Margaret Germain. That's me. So this is my book. Here it is. All right. So this is part of my life here. Every morning, I walked down to the bus stop at about 7:30 and got on the school bus to take the 20-minute route that led us to Lexington High. My friend Gail got on her school bus at 5:45 to go to the same school. Gail lived in Roxbury in South Boston and was part of the Metco program. Does that sound like a fair thing to have to do? Get on your school bus at 5:45 in the morning? No, that wasn't fair. It was the fall of 1967, the heart of the civil rights movement, and the second year of an experimental voluntary busing program that brought black students from Boston to the suburbs. Lexington was an upscale suburb of Boston with a mixed population of white Christians and Jews. I was a tall, thin, white girl with long, reddish blonde hair. The Metco program became the longest-running voluntary school integration program in the country. They bused black students from neighborhoods with substandard schools to well-off white schools to give young black students a better education so they could go to college and have successful careers. It also brought black students into all-white schools in an attempt to diversify the schools, with the hope that white students would become used to and accepting of having black students in their schools and neighborhoods. I met Gail in my freshman honors English class. She was tall and thin like me, had a beautiful smile, and laughed a lot. She was brilliant, confident, and funny. I thought she was wonderful. Gail accepted me. We shared the tall girl thing, and in some ways we were both outsiders. Interestingly, my piano teacher at the time was also black. His name was Dr. Henry Santos, and he was an incredibly accomplished, world-renowned concert pianist. He was also a friend and college roommate of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and promoted the works of African-American composers. Gail was from a loving family that owned a home in Roxbury. She was in the Metco program because the public school system had failed to offer a good education to students in her town. The funding formula for public schools depended on real estate property values, a system that unjustly undervalued homes in neighborhoods that were predominantly black, regardless of how well maintained the neighborhood was. Undervalued real estate meant that public schools in that area would be underfunded. Metco attempted to give some students from those areas a good education at a well-funded high school. Gail didn't come back to Lexington the following year, but continued at a high school close to her home. She told me that the combination of the long bus ride each way and the racist remarks from other students throughout the day made it too difficult to continue. I was devastated. It was many years later that I found Gail through social media. I was finally able to tell her how much she meant to me. Metco wasn't intended as a permanent solution to integrating white schools and improving the education of children who lived where the schools had less funding. Over 50 years later, we still have extreme racism and segregated neighborhoods and schools. My friend Gail passed away last year. She spent her life working as a social worker, helping women and children who were victims of domestic violence. She was a force to be reckoned with, who lived her life on her own terms. Gail was not only a friend, she was one of my heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. All the youths are invited to leave now and take part in the youth group with Betty and Alex. The opening music, now we will sing from the Teal hymnal, page 1040, Hush. Do we rise for this? Please rise in spirit, or as you are able. Very good, thank you. Opening words. Our opening words today are by Martin Luther King Jr. I neither started the protest nor suggested it. I simply responded to the call of the people. When the protest began, my mind, consciously or unconsciously, was driven back to the Sermon on the Mount, with its sublime teachings on love, and to the Gandhian method of nonviolent resistance. Living through the actual experience of the protest, nonviolence became more than a method to which I gave intellectual assent. It became a commitment to a way of life. Now we will read from the Book of Life, if there's anything in it. All right, Craig is going to bring it up. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Craig. This is from Jane B., attended the MLK Junior Breakfast hosted by the Blanchard House staff. Though cold that morning, it was a wondrous event with 2 radio news companies plus high schoolers presenting the importance of freedom, rights for all, and liberty for all. Thank you. We have a tradition, of sharing our joys, sorrows, and milestones by entering them into the Book of Life, which is located, as you see, at the back of the sanctuary to the right as you enter. You may also email an entry to the Book of Life at uufcc.org by Saturday. It will be read on Sunday and then written into the Book of Life. I've already done that, and Craig has brought it to me. In the spirit of respectful witness, those present here today are invited to come forward, share a few words of joy or sorrow, and drop a stone into the bowl of water. You may also do so silently. Those who wish to participate, please do so now.
When Caroline was little, she sat at a lunch counter with baseball greats Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda. She did not understand why the rest of the team was dining in a beautiful dining room, and Orlando and Willie were at the lunch counter. Many years later, she understood why.
Hi. Hello. Are we here? Okay. All right. I have a letter from Reverend Bob, who many of you know. He says, I've had major back problems and I'm scheduled for major surgery next week. My condition is much worse than it was when I was here in October, and he's hoping that he will be back in April. He's looking forward to seeing us again. In the meantime, I'll continue to send newsletter essays that are mini sermons. Lynn and I send our best wishes to yourself and all the whole congregation. Thank you for your kindness and patience. Rev Bob. We'll be bringing a card to sign next week, so we can send that to him.
I have a sorrow, not about me. So in 1995, I was working in New York City, and I was sharing a cubicle with a woman named Margaret. We were software developers, and she was a deadhead, first one I ever met. And 95, I was there when Jerry Garcia died. He's a famous guitar player. I knew nothing about the community, and I didn't learn much more about that time. I was in a different place. Though this past week, Bobby Weir also passed away. He was their rhythm guitar player, and at this time, I'm dating a woman who is a deadhead, and now I more understand why she is sad, and I'm sad too. So, because now I am a deadhead. So just for that, once in a while you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. Words from one of their songs.
I have a sorrow that I've been struggling with for a few days. There was an 88-year-old woman who has recently lost her health insurance. And I think about all the other people who are like that, who she has realized she doesn't have much time left. So if you could join me in praying for her and wishing for her a peaceful journey. Thank you.
In 1963, I became the first Jewish boy to be elected president of the student council and the high school that had approximately 25 Jewish kids and 1,300 other kids. And it was considered a miracle. But the times were changing, and we had our first infusion of black kids from across the tracks, 12 in the senior class. And as president, I thought, how can I, in some way, influence the lessons I've learned from my Hebrew school and my Jewish upbringing and from my society. And one thing occurred to me, which was to appoint this black girl to be devotions chairman. Now, back then, we didn't have televisions in our morning devotions. And she was very happy to do it, and they were Christian at times, and different. We invited different religious groups, children, to give the devotions, and here were all these kids saying prayers with different leadership, and I fancied to myself, they don't know that they're being led by this black girl sometimes and by a Jewish guy sometimes in the devotions, and everybody was happy. And all I can say is we all have a chance to do some good, and when it's given to us in such a wonderful way, let's take it.
I hope I can soon forget all my troubles and become happy again.
I'm English no good. I'm China go. 经过的波折很大。my I'm 还thank you my friend 啊today look US people I'm very very happy. Thank you God.
The final stone represents those joys and sorrows that remain unspoken, but are held in our hearts. May we hold all these and one another in love and tenderness, so that this fellowship continues to be a source of strength and comfort, courage and hope in the days ahead. Thank you, Margaret. Our message today is titled Creating the Beloved Community. It will be given by Dr. Martha Beretta. Martha Beretta has been associated with our Uufcc for at least 20 years, maybe more. Stephanie Garrett sent a photograph to me last night with a group of us, I think it might have been choir members, all together, and Martha was there with everybody else. So whatever the event was, we have a photograph for you. Blanchard House is a museum of African American history. It has been in force for quite a number of years under the leadership of Martha Beretta, who is a daughter of Pentecourt. She could tell an awful lot about what life has been like, being born in this area, living in it, and working in it. She is the author of numerous articles and books. She has done a great many things in her lifetime and continues to do so today. As soon as we can get her wired up, we will have a chance to hear her message.
Is this in the way?
No, that's fine.
Can you hear me? Is it okay? Oh, yes, it is. Good morning.
It works.
Before I even get started here, let me say something. First of all, I'm just very happy to be back here. I always love coming to UU. And right in front of me, I see my birthday twin and my Appalachian sister. And so it's always a pleasure to come here. But let me say this before I get started. My topic is creating the beloved community. And I can tell you what you have done this morning is an example of exactly what we have to do to create the beloved community. Your welcoming words, Ted said it all. Your words were perfect for what we need to do. And then the storytelling. Storytelling, we know now, is probably the only thing that can change our hearts and minds. Margaret, thank you for that. Stories make a difference. And then rituals. The rituals that you do, rituals bring us together. They help us to come together, and we understand when we perform rituals, traditionally, everybody who's involved in it gets something from it. Prosperity, abundance, well-being. So everything that you have done this morning is a part of what I'm going to talk about. That you, in this congregation, you know how to create a beloved community. And I really just, these few minutes just sitting here waiting to begin, I feel it. I can feel the energy, the love here. And please keep doing what you're doing because you know what to do. Dr. King's vision of a beloved community was that all people were valued, that they were respected, and that they were empowered. And this was rooted in some spiritual principle of love and mutual care. Now, when we talk about a beloved community, we are generally talking about a place where people live in freedom. There's a space of social equity. There's a sense of belonging and acceptance and peace and freedom from prejudice. That's what a beloved community is. Now, you know my age, you know where I grew up, but I'm going to tell you something. I grew up in a beloved community. My community, I lived on a family compound, which was very common in those days, on Ida Avenue. At the time I was growing up, my community stretched from DuPont to Cooper, Street, and from Olympia to Ida. Now then we got urban renewal and all of that, and so the space of my community was diminished. But I knew what it was to be loved, accepted, and cherished by everybody in my community. I belonged. In my community, everybody was valued and respected regardless of your income level, the work you did, or your living conditions. Everybody in my community, I learned this from a child, was empowered to use their gifts and talents to give to our community. My community, and I looked at this, had all 5 of the characteristics of a beloved community. And I'm going to go through those with you and let you see what I felt growing up. First thing was connection. Now, when you talk about community, in my community, it's not about the space or houses. Community really, and I take this from my African tradition, community is a consciousness. It's not a place, just houses. It's a consciousness of connection. It's a consciousness of interrelatedness. It's a conscience of interdependence. That is what I felt. Each one of those feelings when I was growing up. That's what I saw in the adults. All of that. There were very strong interpersonal ties. There was a sense of family, and we all had to make our family name feel good, for people to know our family name. There was extended family. Now this is really part of my African culture. Not just this nuclear family thing. Extended family. Your grandparents, your aunts and uncles. And in my community, I have more cousins than you can ever think about. Everybody was related in some way. There was respect for all. And I can tell you, especially for the elders, now, if you really wanted to get in some trouble in my community, disrespect an elder. Do not speak to an elder. Any girl especially who didn't give eye contact and speak to an elder, the word went around, which is the second thing, communication. The word went around that she thought she was cute and she felt she was too good, and that quieted her. She spoke to every other elder she saw. Communication. Now, of course, growing up, television was coming in. It was new. Of course, we didn't have all this internet, but we had the grapevine. And word traveled, honey. Now, the word that we as children did not like traveling was if you did anything wrong. And some of you may be able to connect to this too. It got home before you got home. Now, really, we didn't understand that. And last night, I was trying to figure that out, seriously, at this age at 80. How did that happen? And so I'm thinking that Miss Cochran on her porch told Miss Allen on her porch, and Miss Allen told Miss Jones, and then by the time they got to my house, we never understood that. That's the one thing I can say. Communication was part of that beloved community, but maybe all of us children didn't like that aspect of the beloved community. Collaboration. In my beloved community, we work together for a shared purpose, and the purpose of the adults in our community was the children. Every generation wanted their children to have a better life than they had. And I can tell you one of the things that was very interesting. You've all heard of Dan Smith. The settlers, and I don't have a problem with the word colored. The colored settlers, because when I was growing up, I was a colored girl, okay? The settlers who came, all their parents were enslaved, so they couldn't learn to read and write. Dan Smith, the leader, one of the leaders, he could not read and write when he came. But guess what? Because he wanted the best, which is what the tradition said, both of his daughters, Sadie and Carrie, were top math teachers in the state of Florida when they grew up. That's because of that collaboration, that working together to do what we had to do for our children. Now, every adult, and this is a responsibility, every adult in our community had the responsibility to coach, to advise, to teach, and to encourage our children with the community values and beliefs. They had the responsibility. If a man was a bricklayer, he had to teach a child how to bricklay. Everybody, every adult had a responsibility. And most of all, they had the responsibility to encourage us to get an education, because it was felt that for our colors, the only way we were going to make it was to have a good education. Now, this is interesting. Any adult, I don't care what their status was, could advise and guide a child. It didn't matter. You didn't have to have a teaching degree. You simply had to have wisdom and be respected in that community to pass information on to another child. And another thing, any adult could discipline you. Any adult could discipline you. And really, you did not want to go home. And, probably the word's already gotten there, but you really didn't want to go home and say, well, Miss So-and-so and so. You did not want to do that, because you know what that meant. That meant, go out on the tree and take the leaves off and bring something back. That's what that meant. So you did not want to do that. Also, in terms of our elders, in my tradition, our elders are the closest to our ancestors, and we revere our ancestors. And of course, our ancestors are the closest to the spirit. And so elders are just very, very important. To sit with them, to have them tell you a story, to have them guide you. Right now, it's a very interesting time as our young people, in many cases, and I talk to many grandparents, so I know how grandparents feel. Many of our young people today know more than elders. They get it, I guess, from the internet. Somehow they learn more than the wisdom that we were taught as our elders. And so we can't let that go. We have to keep telling them stories. We have to keep telling our young people what our values are. We have to keep telling young people the beliefs that got us where we were. Now, education in my community, the old Baker Academy, everybody in our community, collaboration worked to make our school work, because education was so important. If a kid was passing by Goldman's bar, a young man especially, and wasn't in school, I don't care if that man drank. He could tell that boy, you better get to school, and that boy better make himself get over to Baker Academy. That was the kind of respect in our beloved community. We had a small population, and right now in our community, and believe this or not, people come and they say, oh my God, where are all of the black people from traditional Punta Gorda? You know why we're so small? And I can go through the census myself. Every settler family educated their children. Now that's amazing. The high schools, we did not have a colored high school, but parents sent their children to live with relatives so they could get a high school education. That's how important it was to empower our children. My mother graduated from Howard Academy in Ocala. My aunt graduated from Union Academy in Bartow. That's what people did. Their children and their education was so important. They sacrificed. It was a sacrifice. They sent their children. Many then were able, what we call FAMU now was FAMC. And like my aunt, they went on to college to FAMC. Now my mother, Bernice, wanted desperately to be a nurse, but she had a congenital heart defect and they would not accept her. She did not want to be a teacher. My mother took an electrical course. And believe it or not, if you came to our house, my mother could fix everything, a lamp, a toaster, or anything. Probably had she not been colored and a woman, she may have been an electrician, but she went to FAMC and she took the electrical course and could fix anything. Yes. But every cell, if you look, Every settler family, these were the children of enslaved people who could not learn to read and write. But for their children, they all educated them. I look at the census and I said, wow, these people were something else. That was a beloved community when you love your children enough to give them the power to be successful in the next generation. So, contribution. Now, growing up, there were no grants and all that kind of stuff. But there was an expectation. There was an expectation that you gave your time, that you gave your skills and your talents and your resources for the well-being of our community. My mother, like Cooper Street. Now we got, there was a little agitation and they finally gave us, everybody knows where Cooper Street is. They gave us Cooper Street Recreation Center. Believe it or not, I remember this. It was a building. There was not a chair there was no furniture in the building. All we got was a building. My mother, Bernice, on weekends, took her own money. She bought sodas and hot dogs. And she would have a little dance every weekend. The kids would come. Of course, they would buy the sodas and hot dogs. And that was the way that we got chairs in Cooper Street. No grants. She wasn't paid. She had a responsibility, though, to our community to do that. There were the Women's Coalition, group of women her age. They started the tutoring at Cooper Street. These women didn't have to do that. They started basically with the girls, teaching them etiquette. This was the way that our community worked, is that you had to share. You had to give your gifts and talents. That's what a beloved community is when I feel honored to give my gifts and talents back. Now, it's not only the education. Our elderly, I remember dinners very clearly. My grandmother, we had the fishing community and she rented to fishermen, which was, that's where all the men came, fishermen. And after dinner, we always had, especially holidays, the men would come to the door and get their meals. But most importantly, me and my cousins, after dinner, we had to take food to the elderly. And you know what? I came back here 20 years ago, and I had not forgotten that. And there was an elderly woman that I knew. I still remember from my childhood that I had to take her dinner. That's what we had to do. We had to care for everybody in the community. That was part of a beloved community. Our school, our teachers, I went to Baker, we had 3 teachers. They all had master's degrees. They all got half the salaries of the teachers in Florida. And so what did that mean for the community? That meant the community had to give money, resources to help them, help us. Every spring, there was like a recital. Who did it? The parents in the community. They bought the outfits. They did everything. So in our community, they worked together to make it work. Now, I wasn't around then, but they tell me in 1927, and I've seen it myself, working together in 1927. Now, if you've been into the quote-unquote colored community, we had 20 businesses. I'm talking about collaboration that's what a beloved community is. We had all kinds of organizations to help people, bury people, help people if they were hungry. And so in our churches, that's a beloved community. Now I'm going to move on to a unique kind of beloved community of Ponta Gorda. I am not naive. There were Jim Crow laws. There was racism. There were some people who were racist. But Ponta Gorda has been called a unique sociology, and it is because the colored and white worked together to create our community. We had a model community in the very early days, a model community. There was mutual respect. There was relationships. Everybody had to obey the Jim Crow laws, but close relationships developed because people saw each other simply as human beings, not by some sociological something attached to them. They were seen as human beings. Gussie Baker, who some of you know, that was my godmother. Her mother and my mother were the best of friends. Went back generation. When my son was young, my grandmother would take him to Salona to meet sit there and talk with one of her best friends. That's who the early settlers in Ponta Gorda were. That's who we were. And Gussie used to always say, people that come just don't know who we are. That's who we were. Now, one of the things that helped make this, some of you have heard of Albert Gilchrist. Trabue, if you set up a city, you had to bring a train in, you had to get your luxury hotel. Albert Gilchrist, he was from South Carolina, but somehow he had a humanity. He just saw human beings. He didn't see colored human beings and white human beings and whatever. He saw human beings that he could relate to. Albert Gilchrist. Now let's think about stereotypes now. Think about black men. They're lazy. They're irresponsible. You can't depend on them. They're children. Albert Gilchrist chose 7 colored men, young men, to come. Now think about this. Think how important the railroad was. He chose 7 colored men to be the surveyors to bring the railroad to Ponta Gorda. 7 colored men brought our railroad to Ponta Gorda. And Dan Smith, my great uncle, was a 17-year-old who couldn't read and write, was a mathematical genius, who sat in classes with children to learn to read and write. Okay, they came in 1885, 1886, okay? They got 200 colored men to build the tracks. So when I think about the railroad, and I think about my great uncle, the railroad in Ponta Gorda, I have to give credit to the people who designed it and the people who built it. That's when I look at that railroad station, I think, wow, colored men brought our railroad to Ponta Gorda. I'm very proud of that. Now, Dan Smith, I told you, he was something else. He became a real leader here. Organized the first religious service in Ponta Gorda. Little thatched hut. He built it. Now check this out. I'm still talking about Jim Crow. It was an integrated service. Folks just came and sat in the hut. There was no special seating for anybody. There were Christians who came and one Jewish family. One Jewish family was there. Now it's very interesting. And let me say this, Bethel AME, which is on the corner there, that was the very first church here. Dan Smith, by organizing that, created that first church. These people in this integrated church met together every Sunday until they all got the funding to do their own church. They just did it. They were just human beings. They just did it. Now, it's very interesting, and I'll talk about the comment that Dr. King made later. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But very important, yesterday we did celebrate the media, Our Daily Sun, and WGCU. And we celebrated them because we know one thing, and we see it right now, the media can separate us or the media can bring us together depending on where and who you listen to. Right now, that is happening. In the Jim Crow era, in Ponta Gorda, our Ponta Gorda Herald brought people together. I'm talking about 1900s. They brought people together. First of all, they referred to the colored residents as citizens. The other newspapers wouldn't regard you as a citizen. They talked about their assets, their skills. They talked about special friendships that were held. And guess what happened in this little town in 1887? Railroad starts 85, 86 is completed. 1887, guess what? Now this is interesting because I've heard from both sides of this. You know when after Reconstruction, when it was possible for black people to vote, there's a whole bunch of laws that went up. You had to own land to vote, right? In Punta Gorda, 4 African Americans who were landowners were part of the 34 people who incorporated Punta Gorda. Punta Gorda, again, let me say I am not naive, had its own unique beloved community, its own uniqueness. And so, Punta Gorda was different in that respect. Okay, Marion Avenue. We all know Marion Avenue. Now, a barber, first barber here, Abe Coleman, first barber. He could not ever cut black and white heads together in that barber shop. He'd have been fined. However, the Herald had they endorsed him, and his ads were in there. Starlight Barbershop. The ads for other colored businesses. Punta Gorda Herald killed them. And very interesting. I tell you, fishing was everything. We had something called Sharpie Town, the colored fishermen, and never heard that they were not paid the same for their fish as other people were paid for them. Now, very interesting. Dr. Martin Luther King said this. He said the most segregated hour in America was 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. When I was growing up, Sacred Heart, there were 3 black families, and I was one of them, who attended Sacred Heart Church during Jim Crow. There's a picture of 4 young people on their first Holy Communion. I was 2 girls, 2 boys. I was one of the girls. I was not walking in the back. I was not separated. The 4 of us got our Holy Communion together. That's a sign of a beloved community, especially during those years. And then there was the one-way integration in Punta Gorda. Benjamin Baker, the principal, would send out notices, if there was going to be any kind of thing that was happening at the Baker Academy. And the next day, the newspaper, whites came to all of the events. They would come to the events. Now, there was also something that happened. On Sunday afternoons, Gallman's Bar, the music, whites came to it. There was music. They were sharing. Why not share culture? Why not get some of that? They would come to that. And then, twice a year, now you know how important Marion Avenue is, we would have the Emancipation Day parade. The Emancipation Day was about colored being free from slavery. But along Marion Avenue, guess what? The whole community would come out. And then there's another little parade that you absolutely have to come to the Blanchard House to know the answer to this. Otherwise, you won't know the answer. There was a parade, a little man, he was just a little man, Harry, Mr. Little. 3 or 4 times a year, he would have a parade, and he trained animals. The animals would perform, the dogs would climb ladders, and the ostriches would whatever. 4 times a year in Punta Gorda on Main Street, colored came. I'm talking about lining Main Street, Marion Avenue. Whites came, all the sinners came, all the Christians came. And in order to know the answer to that, you have to come to the Blanchard House. But I'm not saying any more about it, okay? Now, I think one of the most fascinating things that happened here, which shows, and I have a book here called The Sum of Us. She says what racism costs everybody and how we can all prosper together. There's something called a zero sum that some people who are whites did not understand this. If a black group or black merchant did well, they felt it was taking something from the whites. If a black did well, something was coming from the whites. That's called a zero sum doctrine. In Punta Gorda, let me say this, again, a unique beloved community. George Brown, some of you've heard his name, you've seen his mural. He was one of the richest men in Ponta Gorda. He owned half of Ponta Gorda. He owned the Cleveland Steamways. He was a major landowner, and he was a major employer. Now, in some areas, folks would have said he's gotten too big for his britches. He doesn't know his place. But in early Ponta Gorda, those settlers understood something. They understood that if Mr. Brown prospered, they prospered too. Because when the city ran out of money and needed money, guess who they went to? George Brown. He gave to everybody in this town. Our courthouse is on land that he sold to the city. People, the early people understood. Now, in some places, they may have burned him out. Not in Ponta Gorda. They understood that unity meant that everybody prospered. Everybody prospered. Now, unfortunately, during the 1920s, Florida was advertised, everybody was coming down here. And so folks came with different views than the early settlers. Okay? I mean, talking about 20 years, some 20-year difference. So we got a generation of folks that just did their thing in a beloved community. 1927, guess what we got? We got us a KKK, honey. But let me tell you this. I asked the old timers, white old timers, because I'd already asked my relatives and all. I said, what did the KKK do? Some people were afraid they joined it, but they didn't want to be known to a part of it. I have to tell you, growing up in Ponta Gorda, I was never afraid. I never saw a cross burning, never saw people come into our community. I was never afraid in Ponta Gorda because of our unique sociology. So again, while I say I'm not naive, I am very proud to have grown up in Ponta Gorda, our own unique little beloved community. My family's been here since 1885, and I just am very proud. That's when I went away, as most of us did, went away. Some of us came back, and that's why there's kind of a gap in leadership there. It's because they educated their children, and folks just left, okay? That was before the civil rights laws and all that kind of thing. And then when we got our first in Ponta Gorda, first person to work at the bank, first person to do this, first person, I never heard of any people raging and being upset about it because the old timers knew all these families. And you know what happened? Integrated schools, we didn't have parents. Margaret, you're talking about what happened in Boston. We didn't have any of that nonsense because two old families got together and did the integration. We didn't have that. The airport is named for the Bailey brothers, old family in Ponta Gorda. The old timers understood unity. They knew that ignorance separates, but knowledge of each other can bring us together. And so I just have a few questions. I'm going to end this. Few questions for all of us. And because we know that building a beloved community starts individually, starts with each of us, starts with us doing our own personal introspection, our own personal reflection about our beliefs, our attitudes, and our opinions related to race, ethnicity, religion, and class. So let me tell you this, old man, he said there is more separation in Ponta Gorda now than during the Jim Crow era. He wasn't talking about race. He's talking about class. He's talking about class. So as I go through these, I want you to think about this. First of all of us just kind of ask yourself this question as I ask it. Do I believe, first, this is key. If we don't believe this, we don't have to even answer any of the other questions, okay? Do I believe that all human beings are connected? Ubuntu says I am because we are. If I don't believe I'm connected to folks sitting in here, none of this beloved community will mean anything. Secondly, do I believe I have anything in common with the beliefs and the values of an individual of another race, ethnic group, religion, or social class? Do I have anything in connection with them? Do anything we have any of the same beliefs? Surely we must have, but I have to believe that we do. Now, do I have the inspiration to establish a personal relationship with people who are different? Can I be in a store or in a restaurant? Can I smile? Can I say, oh, hello? Can I start a conversation with somebody who's different from me? We have to be able to do that. Now, right now, we know the social divisions in our country. I think everybody knows about that. But in our community right now, we have loneliness that is epidemic among our older people. We have poverty and we have homelessness. They are key issues. Am I willing to work with a group, may not be of my same color, ethnicity, or religion, but am I able to work with them to help solve these problems of loneliness, of poverty, of people not having a place to live? Do I have the inspiration to do that? And then we are on a pretty destructive path here. The young folks basically, I guess, let us know it yesterday. If we don't come together, we got to come together. Do I want the best future for our elders and for our youth in this community? And am I willing to contribute to that, to this future? Now, everybody created has at least one gift of talent. What talents and skills and resources can I contribute to creating the beloved community? Margaret, I want a copy of that book. There she is. She is contributing. And I know folks I'm looking at right here, two of them in particular, I know what they're doing to contribute, and Ted, to the beloved community. And so the final thing that I guess I'll ask you, and this has to come from each individual. Am I ready to dedicate myself to Dr. King's vision of the beloved community? Am I ready to do that? Thank you. Thank you. Now, I know you all do book clubs. Take a look at this. See if this book is an excellent book that would be a nice book for you, because right now, from what I've seen this morning, I feel it. You would like this book. This could be meaningful, and you could share it with people who may not have your consciousness. See, that's the thing, creating a creative community, is you share your consciousness with other people. Those 5 things. Thank you again.
Thank you, Doctor. That was a remarkable statement that you have given us. Now we have our offering. The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church, supported by the generosity of all who join with us, members and friends. It is our privilege and responsibility to ensure the health and future of this fellowship. If you are here for the first time, do not feel obligated to give. Your presence is your gift. The ushers will pass the offering baskets. You may also mail checks to the office, drop them in our mailbox, or call the office to make other arrangements. The Venmo app may also be used. If your offering is for another purpose than our operating fund, such as Second Helping, indicate that on the check's memo line. Your generosity is always appreciated. While the offering is being collected, offertory music will be played by Margaret Germain, which she has written herself. Can you feel the suffering?
Can you feel it? Can you feel the suffering? Can you sense it as the nightmare begins again? Oh, and the hatred and the fear of each other turn others dying. Oh, as the fear changes safety into danger, and a friend becomes a stranger. When the one becomes the other, and suspicion becomes the law, will we stand with each other and testify to what we saw? What have we done to make this land so full of hostile and angry men that our brothers are dying at their hands again? Turn away from the fear, it's the cause of hatred far and near. Turn away from the fear, it's the cause of hatred far and near. Turn your backs on the ones who would divide us. We are all one deep inside us. We are all one deep inside us. We are all one deep inside us.
Thank you, Margaret, yet again. The life of the community. Please read the information on the back of the order of service. Check the weekly update, our UUFCC website at uufcc.org, and our monthly newsletter. To highlight fellowship events during the service, email the worship associates at thebookoflife@uufcc.org. One of the things that are listed is the parade, the Martin Luther King parade, which takes place tomorrow, and we will be represented by volunteers from our congregation, and hopefully there will be many of them. Now we have some announcements. Laurie, you have one?
Just a quickie. Today we're starting to collect donations for our indoor garage sale, and we're not taking clothing, but everything else. You can see it in the updates or on the wall in the back. Thank you. But to remember it would be great. Okay. Oh, the 31st of this month, Saturday.
Okay. At 1:30 p.m., Walmart Garden Center, Kings Highway, people will be meeting to go to Alcatraz, the alligator Alcatraz, where the detention program exists. We've been there before, and those who want to participate in that this afternoon can meet at the Walmart Garden Center to go together in carpooling. Tuesday, the Free American March from 2 to 3 p.m. Walk around the historic Punta Gorda Courthouse. That's the Freedom March that's going on, and many Freedom Marches are going to be held, so this is the one that's happening in Punta Gorda. And the third announcement is the NAACP membership meeting will be held at Cooper Street Recreational Center at 6:30 p.m. Joseph also has something to offer.
What day?
Thursday.
Good morning. Hi. Just a few announcements. So we are running a bingo game. You probably have seen this form. We have forms in the back of the room. We will be drawing the winners next week, so please pick up your bingo card. It's an opportunity for you to engage in some fun activities and meet other people and find out more about each other, which is really nice. The other thing is next week we will have a town hall meeting. We will have the food in this space to expedite things, so it'll be an opportunity for you to share a little bit about our strengths, our weaknesses, and we'll have some discussion topics. And there's a third thing, which I will go to my phone for. Oh, the Vegan Fun Club for the vegans and the vegan curious will be meeting here this coming Saturday at 4 o'clock. It is a potluck. We'll have music, games, and trivia, and fun stuff to do. Food, that's right, food, the third thing. Okay, thank you.
Okay, where are we here? The closing words today are from Martin Luther King Jr. I'm concerned about a better world. I'm concerned about justice. I'm concerned about brotherhood. I'm concerned about truth. And when one is concerned about that, he can never advocate violence. I have also decided to stick with love, for I know that love is ultimately the only answer to mankind's problems. I'm not talking about emotional love or emotional bosh. I'm talking about strong, demanding love. We will now extinguish the chalice as Marilyn comes forward to accomplish that. Please recite the traditional recitation. We extinguish this chalice, but not the rite of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. May these ideals shine in our lives and warm our hearts until we are together again. Go now in peace. Thank you, Marilyn. And for closing, music is in the gray hymnal number 155, Circle Around. We're going to do it in a different kind of way. The choir is going to come out and then circle around the whole perimeter here. And if you wish to participate in the circle and come along with it, please do so.